I don't think this is ageism, but I don't like her because she's old.
That feels like the definition of ageism.
Oh, but like, what's
Yeah.
your worth when you get old? You know?
Oh God. Some of the things he says, I feel like if I don't respond, maybe I'll save myself from being canceled. Hey everybody, welcome to Dirtying the Frame. My name is Sarah, and this is Assad.
What's going on?
How's it going?
Life is good.
Life is good.
Life is good. We are here. We are back with another superhero movie. Are you familiar with these superhero movies?
Am I familiar with the Blue Beetle?
Just no superhero movies in general.
Yeah,
Like
I'm familiar with superhero movies. I love superhero movies.
Oh, it's kind of a new craze. I wasn't sure if you were aware that that's happening.
I've heard of them. Today, this is very exciting. We're talking about a new superhero movie, which I know we've got a little bit of superhero burnout, but this was a nice, refreshing palate cleanser. We're talking about, you guessed it, Blue Beetle. So we went and saw Blue Beetle last night. And Assad, what did you think about it?
First thoughts.
Well, let's get into logline real quick.
Okay, all right.
Just so that we know what we're talking about here. So we have, when the scarab suddenly chooses Jaime to be its symbiotic host, he is bestowed with an incredible suit of armor capable of extraordinary and unpredictable powers, forever changing his destiny as he becomes the superhero Blue Beetle.
You want to get a theme song for Blue Beetle?
Blue Beetle, here I come, I'm gonna scarab your ass.
I'm a scarab here. Right. Okay, hold on. Let's start again.
Stop putting me on the spot,
yeah,
man.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I think the people liked your improv last time.
I think they did not like my improv. I'm terrible. Although, quick update, I have graduated my first UCB level, which is improv. So we're working on it, friends. We're working on it.
Because of your ridicule in the chat about Sarah's bad improv, she went to UCB and graduated.
I went and took a class to try and get better. Okay, so Blue Beetle, in the chat, have you seen it? Are you going to see it today? Are you going to see it over the weekend when the hurricane hits? No, stay home. So first thoughts. I'm going to go first because I'm excited. Are you ready?
Let's hear it. Hit me with it. Jaime.
Jaime.
My question first to you is that I was really excited to talk about with you is because I know you were raised in a traditional Mexican-American family and you identify as Mexican-American. So I wanted to see what it's like for your representation on screen. What do you think?
It felt great. It felt really good to finally see some representation. I'm yes-anding. Okay. Guys, and I apologize. It's 0 degrees in this studio, so I got 18 layers of clothes on. I'm a whole wreck. Okay, so first thought. I liked it okay, which is saying something for a DC movie, right? This is saying something. So the good parts were much better than I thought they were going to be, and the bad parts were as bad as I expected them to be. However, I think that the glowing moments of fun that we had in it outweighed the bad. What I liked about this movie is that it felt like it didn't take itself too seriously. I think the last couple of DC films that I've seen have felt a little like trying to be really dark and dramatic and take a different turn than Marvel with the lighthearted funniness. But I think now that is this true? They changed their James Gunn or something like that? Assad, do you know?
They have, yes. He is the creative director now, and ISM Dope in the chat says, Sarah, so darn pretty.
Oh, thank you, ISM Dope.
Oh, you posed? Did you give a pose?
I'm dancing too. That's actually me. I did that.
Okay.
That's why I threw it to you so I could.
Okay. Yeah, James Gunn's at the helm now.
Okay, so he was the director of the original Guardians of the Galaxy films. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then they swapped him out with somebody else. I
don't know that.
No, so he's done all of the Guardians.
I think he did the first and third. I'm not sure if he did the second.
Yeah, I think that something like that happened. But and then there was a Batman. He did Batman for DC, but then Zack Snyder took over.
I think we're in deep waters.
Oh, okay, so I'm wrong, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think this is stuff we should know or research. We might be in deep waters.
I was asking you. I thought you knew. Okay, cool. So let's hear your first thoughts.
Blue Beetle. Yeah, listen, I got roasted a little bit on our shorts, remember, Sarah? About me being anti-superhero movies. Mm-hmm. All the 50-year-old oversized men came and were like, "You don't have to see it, man. Let kids enjoy it," which means you're the ones that are trying to enjoy it. You know? So I won't be anti-superhero movies. I learned my lesson. They did let me have it. I did go to this movie. I still supported it. I think the kids call it I was capping when I said I wasn't going to see any more superhero movies because I did see Blue Beetle. For all the things working against a superhero movie now, it did a decent job.
Yeah.
Superhero movies have a lot to do nowadays. They have to. The biggest obstacle they have is how not to feel and sound and look like all the other superhero movies and to avoid the tropes. So for me, this movie was starting way behind. I've already seen a spoiler alert. We've already seen like parents die. We've already seen the famous moment when a person embraces their superpowers and they go on a journey around the city. We've already seen like a villain emerge. And so it was tough for this movie to be really good for me. It was never going to be really good, but for what it dealt with and all of the tropes that it had to overcome and try to give you something original, I actually thought it was decently made for DC especially. So didn't hate it, actually kind of enjoyed some parts. There were some parts that fell short for me, but overall I was like, oh man, this is actually a decent superhero movie that I would have liked a lot more if I hadn't seen 40 superhero movies in the last 2 years.
Yeah, very well said, and a great point. I think, like the point we were trying to make before was the superhero burnout. It's not that the films aren't good anymore. It's just that we've seen them 10 times over, you know. But I agree. I think this one was a pretty decent job. I think it was fun, which is the reason we go see these movies, you know. Like, we don't go to see the Blue Beetle expecting some real dramatic stuff.
What's your energy going into the movie, a superhero movie?
Any DC superhero movie I go to, I assume it's going to be really, really hard to watch. Like really, really bad and really, really hard to watch, because that's been my thoughts with the other ones they've made.
How about superhero movies in general?
In general, I think the Marvel movies, I usually go in expecting a good time. But this year, I saw Ant-Man and Guardians 8, and both of them disappointed me. I think they were trying to take themselves too seriously, and now it almost feels like the movie is never about the movie, it's about setting up the next movie, which we'll talk about a little bit what the stinger was at the end of this one. But we'll give you a spoiler alert warning first, so that we know.
What? You make a good point. I think and this should be in our first thoughts too, where this is, I joke around a lot about the superhero movies, but the type of superhero movies we're getting now, obviously there's too many of them for me, but they also become a part of, there's so much baggage going into every superhero movie now that you have to know this, it links with this world, it's going to merge with this. And the superhero movies I want now, if I had to go see one, was like, I just want a standalone project that I don't have to do 2 decades of like homework with going into it. I want a superhero that exists in this world for 2 hours, that I don't need to know the affiliations with Black Adam, Superman, or whatever. Let's just have it combined in this. And now it's like, I feel like because of universes and different worlds have to sync across, because they're both doing the same thing, Marvel and DC, with this multiverse thing, it's like, oh man, it kind of limits the opportunity to be creative and make it a standstill film, you know, for an individual, and that's just how it exists, you know?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that's kind of probably how a lot of people are feeling, you know. It is fun to have some insider knowledge, but it'd be nice if you didn't have to, right?
Yeah. And you don't necessarily have to for this film. But
no, I didn't know. I've never heard of Blue Beetle until I saw the trailer for it. And I didn't know anything about the story or any of that going into it, and I had a great time.
You were really excited to announce at the top of this podcast your favorite insect-related superheroes, 1 to 3. Go ahead, please.
So my top one is Spider-Man.
Bang.
And then we've got the Scarab at number 2.
The Scarab's number 2? Bang. Okay, who's number 3? That's not even a superhero, but okay.
You know, bat is not an insect. Give me some other insect superheroes.
Okay, we're moving on. I can't. Big snub for Ant-Man.
Oh, Ant-Man.
Huge
I
snub.
was so bummed with Ant-Man this year. I was really bummed with that movie. That was just a real big disappointment. I loved the first Ant-Man. And the second Ant-Man? This was the third one, right? Okay, let's get into Rose and Thorn. My Rose. So my highlight of this movie, I actually have a couple. I cheated, but it's my podcast, so I do what I want.
Talk crazy. Let them know.
So my overall top rose was George Lopez. He plays the kooky uncle in this movie who is paranoid of the CIA and everybody listening to them, and he swung for the fences and he hit a home run, man. He was just being George Lopez, and he did it really, really well. He had some moments that were kind of touching and where he had to be serious in it, and that worked, but the most of it, he was just like being Kenny Powers and just throwing all of the balls and just like hitting them. It was great. He was doing all of it. He was throwing them, he was hitting them, he was throwing them up and hitting them himself out of the park. We loved George Lopez. The audience loved him. We saw this movie at Regal at LA Live downtown, and the audience was really into it. And that's always part of the fun of going to see these movies in theaters, I think, is that audience reaction. You feel like you're part of something. So that's my number one rose. I've got a couple more, but let's throw it to Assad for his rose.
It's a good selection. Remember one time we saw George Lopez at LAX and it was a fucking zoo.
It was. I do remember that. I had forgotten.
It's always weird when you're like, oh, that person seems kind of famous, and then you see him in a place where everyone, like, you realize their fame in a different kind of world. LAX was that for George Lopez.
Oh my
in Terminal 5. That's a great rose. I will piggyback on it by saying that's a role that was really popular in the 90s that's become really hard to do well, which is like, you're the comedic relief, and it's so obvious you're the comedic relief, right?
Yes.
So every time you're on scene, the whole audience is expecting you to attempt a joke, which is the hardest situation to tell a joke in. But, you know, George Lopez is so experienced with it. He's had like 3 decades worth of being a stand-up comedian. But he crushed for such a hard role. That's becoming corner and corner for me. Do you think so or no? Like the friend that's funny?
I agree. I think, you know, he got so much practice on his show doing that too, you know, and that's what we all kind of, I think, really got to grow and love him on, or at least my generation. That's what I know him from, and I thought he was really great. And I think, yeah, he really struck a nice balance. Although he was, as I said, really going for it. It works for him, and he knows his brand, and he knows his brand sells, and that's exactly what he gave us. So thank you for doing that, George.
Can I ask you if that's a role that you see still? Is it going to be around forever? Because it's always in rom-coms, it's in superhero films. Is the comedic relief going to be around forever, the role, or do you think they'll sparse it out between characters?
No, I think it'll be around forever.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's just been working for forever.
I do, yeah. And I learned this at some point about screenwriting and scripts and acting, and how the reason that you love the best friend is because they love the main character so much they would do anything for them, right? So it's like, that's why we loved Uncle George. Sorry, forgive me, I don't remember his character's name, but that's why we loved him, because he loves the family so much, right? So that gives a little insight as to why they write that character, and it gives you a little bit of breaks from anything that might be heavy that you have to portray with being the main character.
I will say my rose for this film was the authenticity to the family and to their tradition. And the way I gauge this is, it's always really risky when you're talking about a specific culture in a film. And you can do it, you're only as good, this is writing, jokes, whatever, as your references sometimes. And if they make something like a black film and they're referencing Kool-Aid as a black, for a joke, as a black audience member, you're like, oh, they didn't try hard, you know?
Yeah.
And I judged their Mexican-American references in this film, how good they were, by how much I didn't know them. There's like 3 or 4 jokes that I'm like, oh, I don't understand that joke. And not to say I'm like the king knowledge of Mexican America, but if someone like me, an average bro in America, doesn't get the joke, I'm like, oh, that means it's probably pretty authentic to the Mexican culture.
Yes.
You know? Which I think is dope. I'm like, cool, you're actually doing your homework and actually staying true, and hopefully they had Mexican American writers on there. I know they had a Mexican American director for it. That's my rose. I'm like, man, they stayed true to, like, they referenced some novellas that I didn't know, you know? And that's my rose. It's like, that's cool, man. It's a big budget film, and there seems like, obviously I'm not the authority on it, but it seems like because I don't get the references, they dug a little deeper to make it authentic. So that was my rose.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, and I think that goes back to kind of like what we were saying. You don't want it to become a caricature of itself, right?
Yeah.
So you don't want, you know, the stereotypes that we all know, you know, out there, and I think that kind of goes back to George Lopez. Like, you don't want to become a caricature of yourself, and that's a really fine line to walk, right? So especially with a character like that, you know, you don't want to become like you're playing at something, and that's how I felt they hit the tone of this movie very well. Like, they weren't playing at anything.
Yeah.
They weren't making a joke about Mexican culture. They were embracing it. It felt like they understood it. But, you know, I'm a white woman, so what do I know about it?
But make no mistake, they're still not so much hidden, but not overt, but they're still, like, you know, things Mexican Americans are facing, they're implanted in this film. You know, they do quick shots of gentrification in their neighborhood, and a lot of it is family based. This is an ensemble cast, really. It's not even so much about the specific Blue Beetle individual, it's about his family, which I think is really dope.
And I think really what it felt like the audience liked the most about it.
Yeah.
You know, all of the scenes with the family where they drop them off at a job interview and they're all in the car like, have fun, good luck, and they're honking the horn and embarrassing him. Like, we've all felt that in some way, shape, or form, right? I used to make my mom drop me off around the block from my homeschool when, like, we had classes online, and I'd be like, yeah, an old car, and I was just embarrassed. And now I'd be so happy for my mom to drop me off anywhere and anything.
No matter what the car.
Yeah, no matter what the car. Okay, so I've got 2 more little honorable mentions for my roses.
Okay.
I loved the actress who played the sister. Her name is Belisa Escobedo. I might be, forgive my pronunciation.
Yes.
She was really grounded and really sweet and funny, and she got the comedy and she got the drama of it, and it was so close between her and George Lopez for the rose. I thought she was, every time she was on screen, I bought everything she was selling, everything she was saying, and I just thought she was great, and she's one to watch. I hope that she does many more things. She's got quite a little resume under her very young belt already, so good for her. I really hope we see her in more things coming up. And I also loved the moments, you kind of touched on this a little bit, Assad, when they brought in the SWAT teams. They were looking for the brother, the Blue Beetle, and they did a really good job of making it feel intense and scary and real. It was clearly meant to mirror the fear and the ruthlessness that, like, an ICE raid would feel like. And I think they did a really good job of it. And it was kind of a moment in the movie that they changed tone, and I think it worked very well.
Yeah, it was a bold decision, honestly. You know, and when you think about making a film that has that culture central to it, it would be kind of bullshit not to, you know? But it's still tough to do that in a superhero film, you know? A lot of the times, and I think Black Panther changed this, but when we go to a superhero film, we're looking for an escape from our reality, and Black Panther kind of infused Black life into is the integral part of being a superhero, and I think Blue Beetle did the same here. And honestly, like, for someone that's not inside of that culture, you felt a way about it. You know, you're like, oh, this movie has a serious moment right now that it's not just a superhero film.
Yeah, and like I said, I really enjoyed the overall feeling of this film, that it wasn't taking itself too seriously. And so when they took those moments where they added the serious and the drama in, it worked so much better, right? Like, it wasn't trying to be something. It was taking those moments, just like life. You know, there's dark moments and there's, you know, but most of it's just fine and happy and good. And I think they just did a really good job of incorporating that, and it meant so much more because they used it sparingly.
Yeah, agreed.
Let's go to our thorns, and I have 2 thorns, but I'll start. It's a toss-up between Susan Sarandon, who played the bad guy in this movie. I'm not sure if she was, you know, out of touch and didn't understand how to play this role, or if hasn't acted in a while, but oh boy, was that role not well played. She was swinging for the fences and missing every time, unlike George Lopez.
Tough one for our Lord Susan Sarandon.
Yeah, it almost felt like she hasn't ever seen a movie like this, so she was like, okay, I'll play a caricature of a bad guy. No, Susan, let's bring it down. Or maybe they only had her for like a week, and she came in and shot all her scenes, and they were like, we just got to go. We don't have time. You know, we promised her $500,000 for 3 days, and we don't have time to retake it, you know. So that was tough. She was real tough. But I think there is a montage at the very end of this film. It's like in the 3rd act. that they give us on the bad guy. Do you know what I'm talking about here?
Oof, this was tough sled.
So weird.
This was tough sled.
It just doesn't make any. Why did they add it? We already knew. They had planted little seeds throughout, and then it was like, just in case you didn't get those heavy-handed seeds we planted before, we're gonna just go ahead and unpack and show you. It was nuts. Like, it was wild. I'll explain it a little bit. So if you haven't seen this, and it's a spoiler, but I don't think it's gonna spoil too much. Yeah. One of the characters is a bad guy who works for Susan Sarandon, and she's been testing on him like Frankenstein, right? So he's kind of got powers, but he's all messed up and he's lost his family because of it. And you can see very clearly from his first interaction with Susan Sarandon that he does not like the boss, that he resents the boss, that he doesn't like all of these, experiments that she's tried on him. It's clear as water, right? We got it. And then at the end, when he's in a tricky position, the Blue Beetle spares his life because of this montage that he sees of this bad guy's past life, which is like he was in the Vietnam. What was he in, like the Vietnam War or something?
Not sure what that war was. Yeah.
It was. I mean, it was a 3-minute montage, I would say, of this character's backstory that they gave us at the end of the film for no reason. I don't understand. Maybe it was setting up. He plays a bigger role in the next one. We didn't need it. It wasn't necessary. It was super heavy-handed, and they were trying really hard to evoke an emotion, and it felt like they were trying really hard to evoke an emotion. Like, if I was in a scene acting, holding an onion to my eye, and you're watching me hold the onion, I'm gonna cry, guys, I'm gonna cry, I promise. Like, that's how it felt, It was like, you're showing me what you're doing, I can see through your plans, and it's not working. So that was my biggest, I think, thorn. And I have one more. Can you guess what it is? It was a part you liked.
I don't want to step on accent police.
It's not that. No.
Okay, I don't know what it is then.
George Lopez, for some reason that I couldn't quite understand, has a giant, really cool aircraft that he knows how to fly for some reason.
Yeah, they stumbled upon the original Blue Beetle's hideout that had all of his costumes, and then they got his bug-mobile.
Okay, yeah, his bug-mobile. And at some point, the bug-mobile is being attacked. All of the good guys are inside. And it looks like this giant beetle, ladybug, something, huge. And then to ward off the attackers, it lets out a big, giant, juicy beetle toot. A fart. And
wait, it seems like you enjoyed it. It seems like you're laughing.
It was. I'm laughing because it was so dumb. Like, it was like a fart noise, which, again, like, come on, guys. And, I mean, the audience was just laughing up a storm. They loved it. You loved it. I was so unimpressed. So unimpressed. Ay.
Now, is a fart joke ever going to get you, you think, in a movie?
I'm sure it'll sneak up on me.
Yeah? But as for this one, it didn't work.
It did not work for me, no.
All right, okay, understood.
All right, so let's hear your thorns, since I had 14 thorns.
Yeah, a lot of thorns.
I had more roses than I had thorns, though, so.
Commenting on the third act flashback of the villain who turned friend, that's just a tough point to put that exposition on somebody, and as we talk about this film, I'm kind of realizing that I don't know how much of it do I hold against the film and how much do I hold against just like superhero fatigue, Like, we know these beats, and this is in the climax of the movie, the third act. Let's get to it, and then, like, they break up the climax action scene by this backstory. And that's a tough timing to do that, I'm like, ooh, you should have done this earlier if you had to do it, Because who knows if they're going to team up in Blue Beetle 2, Two Beetle? I think it's Two Beetle.
Blue Beetle 2, Two Beetle, too many Beetles. Too many Beetle toots.
Yeah, so I know they had tried to have to do it. They thought they had to do it, but yeah, the timing was bad. Okay, I'm gonna come out and say it.
Let's hear it.
And this might be ageism. Grandma didn't work. At no point did Grandma work in this film for me, and I'm very, very sorry. I'm one of those kids that didn't really grow up with a huge grandma figure in my life, so maybe it was triggering for me. But they gave Grandma. What are you laughing at? You laughed at my lack of grandma? Wait,
I also had a lack of grandma, but that's a wild statement. It was triggering for you to see a grandma on screen, and that's why you didn't like her? Come on.
Okay, maybe that was bullshit.
In fairness, though, again, I think it worked for the majority of the people around us.
Yeah, maybe so. Keep in mind, these superhero movies, we always have to put a disclaimer on. We're probably not the demo for, you know? Like, it's probably families, it's probably younger people, so when we complain about it, we're just like old curmudgeons. Okay, my thorn was the grandma. They gave her a machine gun. They gave her a lot of reps. Listen, grandma was wearing a muumuu.
I loved it.
And a sane person would give her one funny scene where grandma holds a machine gun. Cool, okay, that's a laugh, that makes sense. But no, grandma's backstory is that she used to be like, I guess has the knowledge of a trained assassin, because she's looking at schematics and a 3D blueprint of invading a place, and she knows where to attack, how and when, all in a muumuu and bifocal glasses. Okay, I can depart from reality for a while, but grandma can get lost in that film.
And they take the time to give us a 3-minute backstory from this semi-villain, not even the main villain, the second villain's childhood, all the way to growing up, to getting married, to losing his family. Like, they give us his entire backstory in a 3-minute montage. But they explain away that grandma knows, was in special ops or something by saying, there's a lot about me you don't know.
Yeah.
What? That's all we get?
Sorry, Grandma, it wasn't working for me. And I don't know if I don't think this is ageism, but I don't like her because she's old.
That feels like the definition of ageism.
Oh, but like, what's your worth when you get old, you know?
Oh, God. Some of the things he says, I feel like if I don't respond, maybe I'll save myself from being canceled.
Can we do a new segment?
Yeah. Who's going to get canceled first?
No, things that are racist, kind of racist.
Go for it. I would not like to participate, but you can.
Okay, this is for your improv, though. It makes you become a better actor.
Okay.
Okay, you look at the camera really serious.
Okay.
And I'm gonna think you're playing a slightly racist old white guy in a MAGA hat that drives a truck. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna give you the thoughts, and you just look at the camera. Go ahead.
Okay. Do I have truck nuts?
You do.
Okay. Of course I have truck nuts. I'm from OC. My sunglasses are on the back of my head.
Shirtless tee. It's a flannel, but it's shirtless.
Sleeveless.
Yeah.
I've got a flat bill hat. All right.
Okay, you ready? And this is not overt racism. Still racist, but they don't think it is.
Okay.
Ready?
I'm ready.
You gotta look dead in the camera. Oh, these Latins, they have so many names. Why do they have so many names? Okay, that's it. That's it.
Do they have so many names? I don't know that trope. All right.
Okay, you killed it.
They did make a joke about it. Guys, what do you think of our new segment? Racist thoughts.
Slightly racist thoughts.
Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, I did. Let's see. So the bug fart scene you liked. That worked for you. But the grandma with the machete, with the machine gun, not for you.
Good, Graham.
They did make a comment about the names, and I used to work at a restaurant, and the boss was this, you know, not old, but older white woman from Orange County whose husband was rich, and she liked the restaurant, so he bought her one. And she would come in, and she was so racist. Like, she would just come in and be like, "Hola!" to the people working there, and we'd be like, "What are you doing?" He's from Queens, man. He's American. I don't know why you're talking to him like that. Like, Jesus Lord. So that was very much Susan Sarandon in this movie. And they talk about it, and they make some comments on it. You know what I will also say? How did you feel about the kid that they cast to play the lead of this movie?
Okay, so I guess he is from, and I should give him his name. It's Zolo. I don't know how to pronounce his real name. I'm sorry if I'm butchering it. Zolo Mariduena. I have the worst Spanish accent ever, so I'm very sorry.
Enya, for sure.
Enya.
But
I guess he got his big start from Cobra Kai, which I've never watched that show because I'm too real in the field, and the only fights that I watch happen in real life.
How many fights do you watch in real life?
Daily.
Shut up.
I didn't watch Cobra Kai because I'm not a 14-year-old boy.
But you did watch the Blue Beetle.
What? I think when you do that emoji face, they're thinking emoji. I thought on paper and by looks, skill-wise, I think he fit the bill.
Yes.
I think he really fit the bill. That's someone that you're like, oh, I can build a franchise off this person. I think he did well. You know, like, I always talk about, I always get too wokeisha, but when Hollywood tries to cast someone that's a specific demographic, the talent pool is pretty short because they've never cast those people before.
Yeah.
They haven't ever given chances to people before, so when you start giving chances, you're not going to have an extensive list of people that can do it. But you'll notice this in like Native American movies. Whenever they really need a real Native American, you're like, there's 7 actors out there, that have done that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, but having said all of that, his talent, I feel like, he feels like a superhero. He's got like Tom Holland energy.
Oh, wow, that's a high praise.
Not the same, but like, it's the same energy.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he's British, so he's got that going for him. But he was very good looking. He is very good looking, presumably still. And young, and he looks the part, like you said. His acting was a bit of a tough pill to swallow for me. Like I said, I think a lot of the acting in it was but that could have been the tone. But I thought he was very, very handsome, as was the female lead in this movie, who we'll talk about as well. Her name is Bruna, and I imagine she's Brazilian because that's what they said she is in the movie, so I believe everything I hear. And she was so stunning, like gorgeous. Ooh, the acting was a bit of a tough turn up. It wasn't the worst I've ever seen, but it was a little tough. You know what I will say? I would really like to see more from this director.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seemed, there's always a tough thing where it's like, hey, Mexican guy, make this Mexican movie. They do it all the time. Hey, black guy, make this black movie. And there's a lot of pressure that comes along with that.
Mm-hmm.
You want to exhibit parts of your culture that are important, but you don't want to make it look corny. You don't want to alienate anybody, And he did a great job with this, man. His name's Angel, and I didn't know his work before this, but I'm glad he got the opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think he did a great job with what he had to deal with. I do have a question for you.
Okay.
If I can interrupt, because this is our segment where you say someone's good looking. You said Zolo. I don't know this guy's name. I should learn how to pronounce it.
Yeah, the main kid.
Is kind of decent looking. So do you know what time it is?
Oh no, what time is it?
Sarah's je ne sais quoi moment. He comes up to you, you're at a bar.
Yeah.
He says, hola, I'm the Blue Beetle.
Hola. Hola, Mr. Beetle.
You want a martini?
I would be happy to buy you a martini, sir.
Can I see your scarab in that pants? Okay, so he's working?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, the
I
martini
feel
drink
really gross saying that because he's probably like 17 years old, but keep doing what you're doing, man.
Aging.
Keep hitting those push-ups, baby.
Hit me when you can rent a car out of town.
Can we also do je ne sais quoi for Bruna, because I'll buy her all the martinis, man. Woo, baby, she was good looking. And that brings us to accent police. Holy guacamole. This woman had an accent.
And to reiterate, in a movie that has a lot of accents, that's not what you're talking about.
Correct. So generally, accent police is a segment where I detect somebody trying to put on a fake American accent that is just doing a poor job of it. That's what I thought was happening when she first started talking. I looked over at Assad and I was like, uh-oh. We both looked at each other. He's like, oh no, she's not going to be able to sit through this movie and I'm going to have to hear it the whole time. And then we realized, oh, okay, she's from Brazil. Maybe English is her second language. So that was probably what was happening, but it was weird for my ears to hear. I wasn't used to it. Yeah, I wasn't.
Your accent's weird for my ears to hear.
I wasn't used to hearing it. I can't wait for people to go see this movie. Please come back to the comment section because I will see it.
Yeah.
I would love to know if this is just something that's like, one of my little quirks that is really annoying, or if you noticed it as well.
I haven't. You had to bring up the accent stuff to me, but now I can't unsee it.
I know. It's the worst when someone does that to you, right?
Yeah. I do have a question for you.
Okay, let's hear it.
Were you done with your segment? I'm sorry.
No, please. Yeah.
How hot but how bad of an actor can you go? In a movie like Blue Beetle, if she's a 10, sorry that this is so much objectifying here, but this is an honest question wrapped in jokes. If she's a 10, how bad of an actress can she be? Sorry.
I mean, I'm going to tell you because I looked right over at you and I said, it's fine. She can do it. She's fine. I'll take more of her, please. She looked like Alessandro D'Ambrosia, I think is her name. She looked a little like her, like that Victoria's Secret model that we all had a crush on. I'm straight. It's a fact. There's nothing wrong with not being straight or anywhere in between, but this girl, you know, I'm just saying, makes me question it. And I think if she doesn't make you question it, you need to question yourself. So moving on to, I have a question for you that I wrote down.
Let's do it.
So, and I'm very curious to hear the answer. We went and saw this movie at Regal, LA Live, downtown LA, in 4DX. Which, if you're not familiar, is, I don't even know what it is, but you're on a roller coaster and you're watching a movie, so it's very fun. So your chairs move, and there's like water that squirts out at you, and there's air that blows, so when you're on the plane, you know, when you're watching a scene where they're about to jump out of a plane, a big gust of wind will hit you, there's smells, there's smoke, like it's really cool. And I love seeing a movie in 4DX, especially a movie that I'm not sure I'm going to like that's a kind of falls into the dumb action category. So it just makes it a little more fun, and being ADD, like it gives me something else to be paying attention to other than the movie and my popcorn. So my question is, what D is your favorite D in 4DX?
Hey, yo, first of all, pause. What D's my favorite?
Yeah, what's your favorite D in the 4DX?
I'm with you. I love seeing movies in 4DX. I think years ago we stumbled upon this by accident because we wanted to see a big budget movies. And I think you're like me, where you're like, when they first brought out this technology, it was so terrible. Like, I shout out to the D box that they still have, but it's not good. And I think people that haven't seen it, if you're in this chat or watching right now, you're probably thinking it's like little amounts of movement and little spray. Like when they first introduced this technology, you are completely mistaken. This is downtown LA. They fucking send it, bro. They've sent this technology.
It's so dumb.
People are falling out of chairs.
Popcorn's
people are
going
drinking
all over
Coke, and you're like, oh shit. We have seen people leave the theater because it's too much movement, and you're in the theater
every time somebody
and in front
leaves.
of you, you're seeing like the rows of seats move in front of you. It's like it's a real fucking experience. So the motion to me is my favorite dimension. I won't say D. That's wild. My favorite D is wild, but the motion in the chair is my favorite dimension. Yeah. And if you guys haven't seen it, I mean, I haven't gone to a 4DX, you know, there's action scenes. Your seat will punch you in the fucking back.
Literally.
It'll punch you in the back. There's things that punch you. Like I've had my ass whipped in some 4DX movies.
100%.
So I
John
would say
Wick?
motion. The motion is the best one. What's yours?
Ooh, that's a good question. I can tell you my least favorite D is the punch in the back D.
Are you sure? Because I think you hated the smell. You always hate the smell.
I don't always hate the smell. I hate that it's one smell.
Okay.
I need some more variety in my smell. So we're watching, there's a scent that they'll pump through the theater, and it smells like freesia, like flowers a little bit, and they use it anytime you're supposed to be smelling anything. So like in this movie, for example, something was burning, and then they just pumped through the smell of freesia. I was like, is that what being on fire smells like? Because I need a new cologne, you know? I'll just burn my arm hair off and smell amazing. Yeah, that's my least favorite is being punched in the back. Because every time it scares me, and every time it's a little too hard, and I'm like, ah, God, it got me.
Yeah.
I think that the movement of the chair has got to be the best one. It's the most fun. There was a point at the end of this movie where I looked over, and the entire theater was just mostly grown-ups. It was kind of a late showing on a Friday night. All of these grown-ass people in their chairs just going, ah! You know, and I just looked at Assad and I was like, this is the silliest thing I've ever done. It just felt so silly and not adult at all, which is the reason you should definitely go see a movie in 4DX. You do have to save up for it. You need to start a special savings account.
It's expensive, guys.
It's
like
$30 a seat.
Yeah. It's worth it, and it makes the action scenes incredible. Like, you're in it. And
it's fun.
There is one rule, though. You do have the option to turn water on or off. If you turn the water off, you're a bitch.
Hold on. I would like to cut in really quickly here. And this isn't as fun, but it's true. The water only works 1 out of 100 times that you go see a movie in 4DX.
Sorry that we're in a drought.
It's California. It's only one screening a day, and it's random. They just roll the dice. They circulate. Yeah, the one time I did have the water working in the seat, it kept spraying me right in the face. Like, it was like, oh, you know, like right in the face.
That's going to be chopped. That's going to one of our shorts.
I need a... it was bubbly water too, and it was flavor, and I'm probably going to be sticky. All right, well, you guys, I'm not going to lie. I have got the live up on my computer, and I just looked down, and it's a little delayed, and I just saw what I looked like doing that, and I'm embarrassed, and I feel like my mom and dad are not going to be really proud of me. Yeah, so I think that was, so your least favorite D is the back thing? What's your least favorite D?
The smell.
Okay.
The smell.
Fair.
Yeah. For sure.
Cool. Well, I think we're messing around with our format a little bit, and we're going to try and do our trailer trash at the end. So if you're still with us, we are ready to talk about trailers. Are you ready to talk about trailers?
Yes, my favorite part of going to the movies other than Raisinets.
Yeah, and I will also say, because we made a point to say it the first time, and I hate people who just complain and don't say nice things. We went to the Regal, and for the first time, we got there 30 minutes early, because we've talked about this on the pod before. Snacks, the lines are insane. There can be 3 people in line, and it'll take you 45 minutes to get your snacks. So we both got there early, and we sat in the movie theater without anything playing because they got us in and out of the snack lines so fast. So they heard our complaints, and they're working on fixing it. Thanks, Regal.
This segment brought to you by?
This segment brought to you by Regal, who paid for our 4DX tickets last night. I wish. So we got our snacks, and we were well in our seats well before the trailer started. And we got some good ones this time. I had to kind of really think about what my least favorite and my favorite were, because I'm excited about most of them. But my favorite trailer that I'm most excited to see was actually the Willy Wonka and the Charlie Factory?
Whoa,
Yeah.
whoa. We're calling bullshit here.
Why?
Friends of the podcast, of the DTF podcast, Sarah has been trashing Willy Wonka, has been trashing Timothée Chalamet for all Q3 this year. Is this a backtrack?
I don't believe that I have.
Well, let me look up the quotes here. I'm bringing the transcripts.
But I will challenge you to find those moments, cut them together, and play them back to me, because I don't think I have. I generally don't like Willy Wonka movies. I haven't liked any of them that I've seen so far. But this one looks different, and like it might be kind of good. So I'm excited about it. And it's coming out in around Christmas time, November, I think. And, you know, it's like a family movie around the holidays. I'm excited.
I have a quote from a previous pod with you talking about it. Would you like to hear?
Yes, please.
Quote, Sarah says, Timothée Chalamet thinks he's Tom Hanks. Too bad he's built like Zendaya.
That doesn't sound like me at all, because that sounded pretty clever. Sounds like it's got your name written all over it. Yeah, so I'm excited to see that. And it was we talked about this, it was a different cut of the trailer. It was a longer, different cut, and it worked for both of us, yeah?
I really dug it. It's the first time I'm with you. I'm giving you shit, but I just thought it was an okay movie. Now, here's the thing. I think Timothée Chalamet is trying to act strange in it, and it looks ineffective, but the feel of the movie we got from the second trailer, I was like, oh man, this is kind of cool. You give me any movie about someone that has a dream, a pure dream of people having fun, making chocolate fun, and you give me an organization that's trying to stop them from fulfilling their dream, I'm usually on board with it. And
make chocolate fun again.
Make chocolate fun again. Sounds like a slogan for white women that only date black men.
Jesus Christ.
No, this is what I want to talk to you about, where it's like, there's multiple trailers cut for films, Big budget films, they start advertising 6 months in advance now. And this is the first time, they've been doing this for maybe 10 plus years, having multiple trailers cut. This is the first time that a different trailer has sold me on the film. Usually it's ineffective for me. And this trailer was more about his dream trying to build the best chocolate factory in the world where dreams live and chocolate makes you fly. And I was like, oh man, this is getting me. This cut's getting me. And that wasn't the only one of the trailers that did that to me.
Yeah, we got a couple different cuts. We got Dune, a different cut of Dune, right?
Back-to-back Chalamet. And
Trolls.
Yes. Did Trolls work for you?
Trolls is working for me. I'm not going to lie. We're not going to see it. Okay. I mean, maybe we'll see it. It looked kind of cute. It looked good.
Yeah.
So what was your favorite trailer that you're most excited to see? Was it also Willy Wonka? Was it Dune?
It finally got me, Sarah. It finally happened.
What?
Gran Turismo.
No!
No, I'm just kidding. It didn't.
I was like, what?
Why do you hate Gran Turismo so bad?
That's my, we're jumping to my worst. That's my worst. I'm so, like, it just looks so bad. And I feel bad for Orlando Bloom and Katy Perry and all of their loved ones.
Why do you hate Gran Turismo? You don't understand. You drive a Prius. You don't want to go fast.
I do want to go fast. I just can't. I want to. I just can't.
No, it really wasn't. I just wanted your reaction. But this time around, Hunger Games looked really good.
Yes.
Hunger Games looked dope. I was like,
yes.
oh, and I think this was a second trailer too. Dune has had me from the beginning, from the first movie, all the trailers, and they had a new cut too that I really loved. Thought it was really dope. So that was kind of a given, but the best one for me that I was inside of, I was like, oh, I'm feeling like inside of this trailer for Hunger Games. I'm kind of pumped now.
Yeah. And I don't know if for anyone who's seen it, the wardrobe that they have the young President Snow in,
yeah,
it looks very cool. I'm like, they did a really good job with this. It was really fun, and I wonder if they got the same costume designer from the Hunger Games, probably.
Imagine.
Because
Lenny Kravitz.
Yes. No, he R.I.P. to the homie.
Wait, why is he dead?
In the film.
Oh.
Lenny Kravitz, I believe, is still alive and thriving in his house in the jungle, right?
Oh,
Didn't we see his what do you call it? Architectural digest or whatever.
He's like, let me just walk you through this jungle that I own.
Yeah, it's nuts. I'm like, what is happening? And it's insane and gorgeous, and I'm sure he's alive and well. But I will say, he did die in the film. President Snow just got him. So I don't know who's designing the costumes for this one. It's a prequel, so maybe he's alive still. All right. So you were most excited about Hunger Games. What was your least excited about trailer?
Yeah, you guessed
Turismo.
it. Gran Turismo. Yeah.
Is it Turismo or Turismo?
Depends what side of the tracks you're from.
I'm from the wrong side.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm a little dangerous.
Oh, are you? What's the most dangerous thing you do, Sarah?
Just like, I stole a pack of cigs and put it in my sleeve, and don't smoke them because it's really bad for your health, but still looked cool.
Yeah, man, I'm Gran Turismo for someone like me who loves going fast in anything. I love going fast. Light-skinned people and going fast, it should work. I love both those things, but this is not working for me. And you have infected me with your hate for David Harbour.
I don't hate him. I just am burnt out on him.
Yeah, he's in a lot. But yeah, Gran Turismo does nothing for me. I'm cool. And the thing is like, I know I don't understand the sport, but he's like training, they're grueling training for driving, which I'm like, isn't just like the weightlifting just pushing a foot down on the accelerator? Shouldn't you just, that'd be the like exercise for driving a car? Why are these guys running miles?
I don't know, but it's based on a true story, so they must really do that.
Oh, okay. All right, cool.
I thought you like to go fast.
Yeah.
Shouldn't you know that? Yeah, it's looking like a big old L, but maybe we'll have to go see it just for funsies for giggles.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think that is the end of our Blue Beetle podcast. Gummy rating. Almost forgot. So my gummy rating for this is 2. I had a good time. It wasn't the best movie I've ever seen, but it was, go give it a watch. Go buy a ticket, Go buy a ticket, go to the movies, have fun. I recommend going to see this movie. And let us know what you think. And tune back in next time because we've got some more fun things cooking up on the DTF podcast. Bye.